Okay, children, good morning. Now, we are going to the second part of our class. Before that, let me ask you some questions. I hope you have already written the answers of the questions which are already given for you the last class. But whether do you think Raja's grandfather was a man respected by everyone? Pick out the sentences. So, have you written that? Then what will you feel if somebody insists you to do something? That was the question. So, your answer, I think you have sent you may please send the answer to me and I will check it. Who helps you in your family when you are in trouble? So, these were the questions. So, we are in Raja's house. We found that how was Raja's house and what was surroundings. There were a lot of trees, mango trees, jackal, some creatures, some animals were there. So, everything we have studied. Now, let us go to the next part, that is making a shower. What is a shower? Shower, you are taking your bath on shower. Do you know what is shower? That is falling drops, falling water drops, that is rain. So, at the time of raining, water is falling. So, it is also a shower. And here making a shower. So, I told you that Raja is a naughty boy. So, he is making shower. How? Let us read. It was in evening after a heavy rain. Grandfather was picking flowers from the jasmine bush under the sandalwood tree. The leaves of the trees were full of raindrops. I knew I could make rain if I shook the tree, and grandfather and I would get a good shower. I liked bathing in the rain, but he might not like it. But it would be great fun. So, I quickly went near the sandalwood tree and shook it with all my strength. There was a heavy shower and both grandfather and I were soaked. I loved it, but grandfather did not. He turned to me with an angry look. I was sure he would catch me and beat me. So I ran. He ran after me. I ran fast, but he ran faster. He had almost caught me when he stumbled and fell. I ran away to the paddy fields and hid myself there. I heard grandfather shout that he would teach me a lesson when I came back home. I did not want to go home because I feared grandfather would beat me. I stayed on the fields. It was getting dark. I was afraid to stay there alone in the darkness. I remembered all the ghost stories I had heard. I stood up, looked around, and then ran towards home. I was still afraid to face grandfather, so I did not go inside the house. I went to the cowshed and took shelter into the loft. From there, I could see grandfather sitting on the veranda saying his prayers. Grandmother was waiting for me. When I did not turn up, she looked for me everywhere in the house. Then she came out and called aloud for me, thinking that I was somewhere in the garden. She did not get any answer. Then she went to grandfather and asked him where I was. You look for him in the house, grandfather said. He is hiding somewhere. He is not in the house. Grandmother said, I looked for him everywhere. So, come back again on page number 13, making a shower. It was an evening after a heavy rain. There was a heavy rain, and it is a rainy season. You know what is rain. After a heavy rain, it was an evening. Grandfather was picking flowers from the jasmine bush. There was a jasmine bush under the sandalwood tree. What is sandalwood tree? Sandalwood, you know what is sandalwood? Chandanam, we say in Malayalam. The leaves and the tree were full of raindrops. So after a rain, normally automatically we know that there will be some raindrops just after the rain. There will be some raindrops on the leaves. I know I could make rain. If I shook the tree and the grandfather, I would get good shower. So to get a shower, what will happen? You just shake the tree, and what will happen? After shaking the shower, there will be a lot of water drops will fall. So just like a rain. I liked bathing in the rain, but he might not like it. I like it. And what about you? Do you like just like funds? Anyway, okay, but he might not like it. I know, grandfather would not like it, but it would be a great fun. So I quickly went near the sandalwood tree and shook it with all my strength. There was a heavy shower, and both grandfather and I were soaked. I silently, quietly went near the sandalwood tree and shook it. What happened? With all my strength, there was a heavy shower, a lot of water drops fall, both on grandfather. Grandfather and I, both of them were soaked. Soaked, S-O-A-K, soak. You know what is the meaning of soak? Soak, become wet. Soak, wet, nanaiga, that is wet, become wet, soaked. So we both of them soaked. I loved it, I enjoyed it. But what about grandfather? He did not. He became angry. He turned to me with an angry look. He was angry. I was sure he would catch me and beat me. And if he was caught hold of me, no doubt he will beat me. So I ran. He ran after me. I ran fast, but he ran faster. He had almost catch me, very near to me. What happened? He stumbled, stumbled and fell. I ran away to the paddy fields. What is paddy field? There is a paddy field. So it is a farmer. He is a farmer, you know. What is paddy field? Rice field. And hid myself there. I hid. Grandfather searched me and he did not find him. I heard grandfather shout, and he told he would teach me a lesson when I come back home. I will teach you a lesson if you come back home. What is teach me a lesson? ഒരു പാഠം പഠിപ്പിക്കും. ഇത് ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൻ്റെ പാഠമാണോ? No. That means he was giving a warning. Okay, I did not want to go home because Raja did not go home because why? Because he feared grandfather. What was the fear? He would beat him. That is, I stayed on in the fields. It was getting dark. I was afraid to stay there. It was getting dark. I was afraid to stay there in the field alone in the darkness. It was getting darkness. So, what about you? Will you be afraid if you were alone in the darkness? I remembered all the ghost stories. Who is a ghost? Ghost stories. You may have heard a lot of stories, just like stories. Ghost stories. Yes. Preta Kathakal. I remembered some stories. I stood up, looked around, then ran towards home. I was still afraid to face. I went because I was fear there to stay in the paddy field. So I stood up and ran towards the home. But I did not go inside the home. Why? Because you are afraid. You remember that the words, if you come home, I will. When I get you, I will teach you a lesson. I was still afraid to face grandfather. I cannot go to that. Because I feared grandfather would beat me. That was the fear. I stayed on in the fields. So he did not go inside the home. So I did not go inside. I went to the cow shed and took shelter in that loft. What is loft? What is loft? That means the upper part of that cow shed. From there, I could see grandfather sitting on the veranda saying his prayers, and he was prayer. He was in prayer. നാമം ജപിക്കുക എന്നൊക്കെ പറയും. Or for us, for people of Muslims, tasbih illa, or something like that. Grandmother was waiting for me. Grandmother is looking for me when I did not turn up. Turn up means arrive. Turn up. I did not turn up. Turn up, arrive. When I did not turn up, grandmother, she looked for me everywhere in the house. Then she came out and called aloud for me, thinking I was somewhere in the garden. She came out, then called, Raja, Raja, where are you? Please come. Raja, come. Where are you? He asked. She did not get any answer. But I did not give any answer. She did not get any answer. Then she went to grandmother and asked him where I was. Then she went to the grandfather and asked, where are you? Where is our son Raja? You look for him there in the house. He will be there. He is hiding somewhere. Grandfather said. He is not in the house. Grandmother said, I looked for him everywhere. I looked everywhere. He is not there. So, let us read again. You may please read again these paragraphs and let us look at some of the questions from the read again silently. Okay, I will give you some time. You read again it silently in the first paragraph, making shower in that paragraph, page number 13. Okay, I will ask you a question. How did Raja make a shower? How did Raja make a shower? What did he do? How did he make? Okay, tell me. How? Yes, he shook the sandalwood tree, which was full of rainy water was there on the leaves. There was no rain now, but after rain, there was some water. So, he shook it and next another question. Could Raja's grandfather catch Raja? Why? What happened? Why he couldn't catch? Raja's grandfather was about to catch Raja. He came just behind Raja. But what happened? Raja's grandfather stumbled and fell. There was a word given there. Stumble and fell. You can see on the second paragraph, page number 13. One more question for you. What is that? Let me ask another question. What did Raja remember while he was sitting in the field? He was sitting in the paddy field alone in the night. When it was night and it was all darkness around him. At that time he remembered something. What is it? He remembered something. What is it? Yes, he remembered the ghost stories. You know, that is ghost stories he remembered. Okay. Now, let us look at some of the words in this part. Jasmine, you know what is jasmine? It's the name of a flower, you know that. Sock, I have already written in the board sock. That means become wet. Stumble, what's the meaning of stumble? Hit against something. എന്തെങ്കിലും സാധനത്തിൽ തട്ടി വീഴുന്നതിനാണ് stumble. തട്ടുക. അതിനാണ് വീഴാൻ പോവുക. That is stumble. Stumble and fell. വീഴാൻ പോയി വീണു. Fell. Paddy field I told you. Then loaf. That means upper part of some house. Especially in old houses. നമുക്ക് now almost all houses are terrace. But some of them have tiled. And so ഓടക്കെട്ട വീടെന്നറിയാം. Some there will be some തട്ടിൻപുറം. So in that. Then turn up. Turn up I told you that arrive. Now let us look the questions are there. What are the questions? Sixth question. Who do you like to play with at home? Raja liked to play with his friends, but he did not have friends. We have studied it in the first class. Now, the last class we have studied it. Now, who do you like to play with at home? When you are at home, who do you like to play with? You have to write the answer. With your brother or with your sister. When you are at home. When you are at home, who will be your playmate or who will you play with? So, you write the answer. Next, question number 7 of the textbook, page number 13. What was the reaction of the grandfather when he was soaked in the shower? So, what did Raja do? Raja shook the tree and a lot of water drops fell down and Raja and his grandfather became wet. Raja enjoyed it, he liked it. But what about the grandfather? What was the response? What was the reaction of grandfather? So, you write it. What was the reaction? Do you remember? What happened? He became very angry. So, yes, he became very angry. Another one, let us look next question. Why did Raja select the loaf in the cowshed as his hiding place? You know, where did Raja hide? Olikga. He came from the rice field because it is night and he feared, he was afraid, and he remembered the ghost stories and he was very afraid. So what did he do? He came to the house, but he did not go inside the house. Then what did he do? He hid himself on the loft of the cowshed. Cowshed in the attic. You can see the picture there, next page. You can see the picture. So, at there, he hid himself. Why did he choose that place? Asthalam sandarshikan, what was the reason? Cowshed. Because, okay, can you say, who can say? Because he was afraid of grandfather, so he could not go inside the house. But he cannot go away. He was also afraid to go away because he wanted to see his grandfather and grandmother. That means he cannot stay alone outside the house. He was afraid. Go inside, also he was afraid of grandfather. So he chose or took a place or took shelter in a place where he can see his grandfather and grandmother. Then he will not be afraid and he can stay safe. Stay safe. So it is very important thing here. Stay safe, stay home. So this is the motto of this corona time. Stay safe, stay home. And here, what did Raja do? Raja cannot stay inside the rice field or paddy field because it is darkness, and remembered the ghost stories and he was afraid. And here he hid himself in the attic because he can see grandfather and grandmother. That was the reason. Okay, now another one more question there. 9th question. Grandmother was anxiously worried when he knew the Raja was missing. That Raja was missing. Which sentence says that? Or pick out the sentence from the passage which convey the idea, this idea. Grandmother was extremely worried. He was so much worried as she didn't see a Raja. So, where did you find that? Which sentence? Okay, you look at the textbook. Which sentence? You can see on page number 14. That means the second last paragraph. Grandmother was waiting for me. When I did not turn up, she looked for me everywhere in the house. Then she came out and called aloud for me, thinking that I was somewhere in the garden. Yes, that is a sentence. This sentence says that she was afraid or worried about the missing of Raja. Okay, so you have to write these questions and its answers in your textbook.